Yeah, thank you.
Great. So let's go in now and add the prefabs. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the under assets, you're going to go to flooded grounds. And you're going to go to, there's content, materials, post-processing, and prefabs right here. Open that up. There's nature, props, sounds, and we're going to buildings. And there's a bunch of buildings that I want you to build. Okay. Let's start with the easy one. Start with this one is the lighthouse. You can start with the lighthouse if you want and just drag out a copy, right? Or two, put it over here by the water, right? And you can try doing the I think that was the guardhouse. And you can put the guardhouse over there too. Okay, by the way, if you want to see this in close up, select it over here and double click on it and it will bring it up real close. And what you want to do is take this tool right here and move it. Notice that I can move it wherever I want it next to the lighthouse. So try those first. Those are easy. Then the next ones I want you to try are the bridge. And there's two pieces of bridge. So I would go somewhere outside of your village, let's say over here near the water or something, and drag out a couple of these. And remember that you can also spin them. Let's spin them 90 degrees. So notice over here it says rotation. Go to the Y and click 90, right? And now let's click on this one. Oops. And let's do Y 90. So here's the challenge, is what I want you to do is zoom in, and this is to practice working in 3D space. I want you to kind of manipulate your way around your world in 3D space. And I think the easiest way to deal with the bridge is to look at it from the top and grab the bridge section and move it so that these two are kissing, are just matched up perfectly. And again, remember you can use that trick with the V key. I'm going to hold down the V key and then notice that it has a little square there and I can kind of move it into place there. And now they're exactly matched. The way that you can tell is the railroad tracks are lined up. Now it looks like B is not, oops, I shouldn't have done that. Looks like B is not in the same level. So it's going to take some practice, but go ahead and come in here. Yeah, it looks like B is, there we go. So line them up, use the V key, and what you'll notice with the railroad tracks is with the bridge is the railroad tracks should line up where you join those two together. And notice that they're not quite aligned there. You can see that they're off just a little bit. So that's okay. Click over here and zoom out a little bit and click on the arrow key and just move it so that you get it just right. And then what I would do is once you get two of them lined up, right, come over here and remember to create empties so that you can keep everything organized. And they're going to be in the town here. So I'm not sure what this one is. That needs to go away. I'm going to delete it. And I've added a bunch of stuff here in the town. So I'm going to move them back into the town like that so that they're indented. Come on. Or I'm going to create another empty. Call it bridge. And drag the bridge A and the bridge B into bridge. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to duplicate, right, both of these pieces. Hold the shift key down and duplicate. It creates a duplicate, and now I'm going to take that duplicate and just move it over here. And in that way, I can create a bridge that goes without too much work all the way across my scene, right? Maybe on the outskirts of your town. Don't forget to come back here. And probably what you want to do is rename these. This is bridge 1. This is bridge 2, right? This is bridge 3, and so on. So what you're learning about here is that once you line 2 of them up, go ahead and duplicate them, and just, and then once you get 4 of them, you can actually duplicate those 4 and then copy and paste. So you can very quickly create this bridge span that goes all the way across. The key is to get these things lined up. And the only way to do that is to learn how to kind of manipulate 3D space here, right? So, and again, the V key is going to be really helpful to hold that down, and notice that it lets you kind of snap it in place right there, because those are now snapped in place. That looks pretty good. Off just a little bit there. So let's hold the V key down. Oops. All right, it just takes practice, right? But that's a good one to start with, because once you can realize that you can manipulate 3D space. I'm using the right mouse button, and I'm using the scroll wheel to scroll in and out. Also, make sure that this is anchored on the ground, right? Looks like it is, right? Looks like it's perfectly anchored on the ground, right? Later on, you're going to walk around and make sure that everything looks okay, because that's what I'll do. I'll play your game and make sure that everything's looking okay. Okay, so that's outside the wall. Inside the wall, or maybe if you want, you can do this outside as well. Let's put this outside the wall there. Let's do the barns. Okay, so back to buildings. After you do the guardhouse and the lighthouse, do the barns. And the bridge, do the barns. Okay, the barns, you'll notice, are composed of 2 pieces generally. Okay, so I'm going to drag out a barn here. Notice that I've already created a flat spot. And the way I did that is I went over my terrain, and I went to this key here, and I went to set height right there. I chose a height, and then I basically flattened it out. So notice that I can come here and choose a height right here, and I'm raising the land to make more space for my cabins, right? All right, so you're going to drag out, notice that this is barn 2. So barn 2 middle section. Actually, there's 3 parts. This is the barn 2 end. That's the barn 2 middle section, and then there's a barn 2 on the other end, I believe. Okay. So this is fun. This is like building blocks. So you're going to basically take this tool here, and you're going to line all these up so that they are assembled correctly. And you're going to use the various tools here. And again, you're going to zoom in. You can also press the F key. The F key will let you zoom right in, and you can see that by holding down the V key, you get this box here, and you can make sure that these are 1, they're on the ground, and 2, they're lined up just perfectly. And again, I'm going to hold down the V key, and boom. Notice that just snapped right into place with the V key. All right. So there's my first barn. So do both of them. Do barn 1 and barn 2, and then come over here to your town and create an empty. Let's call it barns. And make sure the barns is inside the town, and then take your barns. I'm holding the shift key, put them all inside of barns, right? So that, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate all of these, right? And now I have another barn, right? It's already assembled, and I'm going to basically take, what did I do here? Oh, there it is. It's over there. Okay. And now notice that if you kind of create an empty, it's easier to move it. I'm going to undo that because I think it was already assembled from this guy. or maybe not. Let's delete that one and let's yeah, it was actually assembled. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this barn and we're gonna duplicate it, right? Right click, duplicate. So now I have two barns. There's my other barn. Take this barn, duplicate it. Now I have three barns. Now they're all the same orientation, which you may or may not want. Let's create a string of barns here and then move them over to the right. Okay, barn two, duplicate it. Don't forget to do barn A as well, right? And let's move this one. Let's take the rotation tool, right? And let's just kind of rotate it a little bit so that they're not all exactly the same, right? And let's take this one and duplicate it. So you're going to create a collection of barns. They can be outside the wall if you want. And let me pause. And those of you that are with me live, let me just make sure they're flat on the ground. And again, if not, you know how to flatten the ground so that they are. And again, it's just kind of an exercise in manipulating 3D space and just practicing using the mouse. Zoom way in to make sure that everything is level, right? That looks pretty good. It looks like it's on the ground there. That looks good too. Very, very good. All right, I'm going to pause the recording, and then we'll come back and we'll do the cabins. Yeah, I'm having a hard time pausing this thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and just keep going. One thing I noticed that I had some red errors down here in Unity. You'll want to go to the console and clear those and make sure they clear. If they don't clear, you need to contact me and we need to troubleshoot what's going on. But because you're going to want to play the game when you're done and walk around to see all these great things that you're creating. All right, let's go ahead and do the next one. Let's go back. Let's go into the town inside the walls. And let's build, I'm going to move this lighthouse out of the way. Actually, I'm going to delete it. It doesn't belong in the town there. And let's go to my project and let's go to my buildings and let's go to cabins. Okay. Now the cabins, the barns are made of 3 pieces. The cabins are made of 4. So each one gets more complicated. And there's 2 of them. There's cabin 1. Oh, by the way, there's doors as well, that if you want to do extra credit, you can put doors on the barns and doors on the cabins. Cabin 2 has, I think, 4 parts. Okay. So bring it out and again, make sure that you create an empty for the barns. So let's create an empty and let's label it barns plural. And all these barns, let's call this one, rename it barn 5. And then all these barns should go in the barns empty so that everything is all organized. See, this way I can close the barns up. By the way, if I wanted to make 5 more barns, I could also copy this one and it will create 5 more. So you can very quickly, once you build one, you can very quickly build a town. And that's what I want you to do. And the barns can be outside the town, I guess. So here's my my cabin. So let's make an empty for cabins. And I'm going to place my first cabin 2 end inside cabins. Probably I should also label it cabin 1, cabin 2, cabin 3. All right, so let's do that. Let's label this cabin 2, rename it cabin 2. And we're going to put cabin 2 inside of cabin 2 and inside cabin. All right, let's go in here to the different pieces. There they are. And you're going to assemble. Oh, there's an outhouse too, which is kind of fun. And there's some stairs. Okay, but the main job is to build these cabins. Again, pressing the F key will let you zoom in. And you can do this from the top if you want. Might be easiest to assemble these pieces. I'm pressing the F key there just to kind of, line these up. Oops. And again, the popular V key will help you do this. Boom. Notice that it snapped. It snapped in place there. And V key. Boom. And then put in. I think there's an end that goes to that. If I remember right. Yeah, I need an end. So I think the cabin end is, yeah, notice cabin 2 end and cabin 2 end there. So I think I need this one. That one has a chimney, so I think that's the end piece. But you get the idea. Just assemble these all together. Do cabin 1 and cabin 2. And then, see, what did I do? Normally these are all lined up in the order that you need them. I guess this goes here at the end. It may not matter. The pieces kind of fit together, so you may find that you can do a 5-piece cabin if you want to. Okay. This just takes some practice. And I'm giving you plenty of time to do this. So hold the V key down and there we go. Oops. Okay, I'm looking for the other end. Cabin 2 end. It's not that one. Cabin 2 end. It's not that one. It's not a big deal because you can always turn one over. You can always take this one and let's spin it 180 degrees. Oops, wrong one. That's the scale. Oops, that's not going to work. Let's take the Y and spin it 180 degrees. There we go. So, shoot. And hold the V key down, snap it in place. There. All right. So just make sure that it's all assembled correctly. Okay, zoom in and have a look at it. You can actually walk into these too to make sure there's no gaps. All right, looks like that one is off. Yeah, notice that it's off a little bit. So that's where the V key comes in. Boom, snaps in place. So here,
zooming in, you'll go through the wall or the roof.
Yeah, you actually can go walk inside these.
Wow.
You can actually take your character and go through the door. There are doors to these. If you want to do extra credit, you can put the doors in. And you can see that I'm off a little bit in here, but just practice it. But again, the idea is to take all these cabin pieces, put them in cabin 2, right? And then duplicate cabin 2. And notice I have another cabin. Boom. All right, so do cabin A to cabin B, create a small town, maybe 15 or 20 of these. Make sure that you can add additional pieces if you want. You can add like a patio out here, I don't remember where this goes. It goes on one side of it. Let's see. Maybe it's here. Somewhere in here. All right, I'll let you play around with it. So those are the cabins. Create a bunch of them. And then the last one that I want you to do, which is the most complicated, is the brick houses. So the cabins will be kind of like where the poor people live. And remember that you can also create, let's rename this cabin 3. What you may want to do is do cabin 2A and 2B and 2C. Sorry, 1A, 2B, and 2C, because remember there's 2 cabins, A and B. So there's cabin 3, and I'm going to create another empty and call it cabins, plural. And I'm going to put all my cabins inside. Oops. Nope, I want to do it the other way. Don't do that. Come on. Notice that cabin 3 is inside cabins, and I'm going to take cabin 2 and put it inside cabins. So now I can take all my cabins, see this? And I can move them all together. See that? So I can maybe put the cabins over in the poor section of town over here by the wall, right? And remember, you can rotate them to kind of make them look a little less, right? Maybe they each have their own outhouse in the back. All right, so now let's do the last one is the there's a church too. If you want to put the church in, for some reason in my game class, the church is super popular, and there's all kinds of different pieces. There's even so why is that? What happened? Oh, what did I do? Notice that I left my scene. See that? And they're also pink, which tells you that I'm in the wrong scene. So I have to go back to the scene here. Okay, go back here to scene, and okay. Notice that they appear purple when you're far away. Don't worry about that. That's the level of detail thing that's not quite set up correctly. But the church is really popular if you want to create a church with a steeple and all that. All right, but the most complicated one is the um, well, the villa is insane. I've never had a student do the villa. Look how many pieces in the villa there are. You can actually create a really complicated villa. But I think the one that you want to end up with is the brick house right here. Okay, now the brick house has more pieces to it. And notice that there is I believe there's a brick house, exterior A, exterior B, end B, end A. I think there's 2 of them. So let's go to okay. That's exterior A. I wish I could see this bigger. That's well, it doesn't say what that is. Oh, exterior B, exterior A, end B. So now this will come out here, right? Ugh. And I bring out all the pieces. There's the door. And kind of build out a brick house. Okay. There's different models of this. Like there's one that has a oh, and there's things you can even put inside the brick house, like stairs and stuff. Okay. But kind of assemble this. I think that there's 2 of them, and you can also make it. It's modular, so you can kind of do you can add this piece to it at the end if you want. Okay. So there's the end. All right. There's a middle piece that I'm missing. Brick house exterior B. Oh, in here. So there's middle pieces that you can put in here as well. So you do two versions of the brick house, one with this like conservatory on it and some without. So there's a bunch of middle pieces and then there's end pieces. Okay. You get the idea. So the brick house, I think, has 5 or 6 pieces. So go ahead and assemble the brick house, duplicate it, rotate it so that you have a town here with a church and the cabins are outside maybe the wall, right? The barns are outside the wall. Maybe the cabins are in a different part of town, and the brick houses is where the rich people live. Okay, so this is really fun. Most students have no trouble. It just takes time. Some of you that have used a 3D program before will find this is no problem, and it's really easy to kind of manipulate these pieces and get them looking correctly. Yeah, there's 2 versions of the brick house. You can have it with this extension here, and I believe the extension goes on this side. Yeah, on this side over here, like there somewhere. Okay. And again, press the F key to really zoom in so you can see this. Use the V key to line these things up. Okay. I'm pressing the V key. Oops. Let's undo that. I'm not sure what that was, but press the V key and boom, those just line up for you like that. That one's not quite correct. All right. So there's the brick house. Create a bunch of them. There's an A and a B version. You can rotate them. You can add this extension on there if you want. Some of them can have it, some of them cannot. And go ahead and create a little town. And then put bushes and trees around them to make them look pretty. Maybe put more trees and bushes in the rich, the rich part of town with the church. And then make the barns out in the beyond the walls. Put the railroad tracks out there, the bridge. And then you're ready for the very last thing is to add music, and then you're going to walk around your town and look at it, and then maybe make modifications. And then we'll go in, we'll do web design. Any questions?
Just a question about changing the size. So after you've put all of your components together and you create one folder with all of those, what would be the best way to change the size? Would you just use your arrows, or can you use the scale buttons on the side?
That reminds me, I need to go in here and make an empty for the brick house, right? Because see, all those brick houses are all out there. So let's make an empty for the brick houses. And let's grab all these brick houses and drag them in so that they indent. There we go. Make sure they indent, and that way you can close it up and everything's nice and neat. And then you can also duplicate all the brick houses and make a whole town really quickly. Now, I wouldn't change the size of these prefabs because they're all kind of sized to fit together, right? The trees, you can change the size by using the slider, right? On the over here in the terrain, you do the add trees, and then right here under the tree height, you can make that random and you can adjust the height. I would adjust the height of the trees to match the buildings, and I would adjust the bushes to match the trees, and I would match the grass with the bushes. Okay. You can change the size here. I don't recommend you do it because then everything's going to be out of proportion. Okay. To do that, you would notice that this church. Okay, let's do this guy here, the guardhouse. the scale is what you would do. So I would just do, let's say, 2, 2, and 2. So now it's much bigger. It's twice as big, right? Let's say I wanted a really big cart house, or 3, 3, and 3. Now it's huge. Okay. You could do that with the prefabs, but you'd have to do it to all of them. Notice that if I go here to the cabins, I don't know if let's do a little check. I've never done this before, but I'm wondering if I choose cabins here. Oops. Come on. Sometimes the scroll wheel is a little slow, and sometimes it's really slow. Okay, so there's my cabins out here. I'm wondering if I click on the cabins on the empty that has all the cabins. See, all the cabins are here. And notice that I have a scale over here. I'm wondering if I make this 2, 2, and 2. Notice that it breaks it. They're broken. Yeah, so I wouldn't mess with the scale. It's a great question. Yeah, notice that when I messed with it, I broke it. They don't like to be scaled. Okay. Any other questions?
Thanks very much. Okay.
Okay. You guys have a good weekend.
You
And it looks
too.
like my recording is not working. I don't know. Something happened to it. I think it froze up. I might have to do this over again.
Oh.
Well, I think I have another lecture that covers this too, so maybe I'll use that. But yeah, you guys have a great weekend, and